Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our deep dive into St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologica book. For people who like philosophy and studying theology, he is a must. And I'd argue if you think you're qualified to take on Catholics, you should be able to read and understand their perspective. Otherwise, you're just taking footnotes and pretending to be a master when you are not. And serious intellectuals, scholars, lovers of knowledge, seekers of truth, take things word for word and have patience with what they analyze. So we were in the larger question of God and the divine attributes, goodness in general. We are in the third article, whether every being is good. Okay? This is a objection and reply objection format. Let's begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We proceed thus to the third article. Objection 1. It seems that not every being is good. For goodness is something superadded to being. So notice here, goodness is superadded to being, as is clear from Article 1, but whatever is added to being limited. Whatever is added to being limited. So if you add goodness, you limit the evil. You see how that works? As substance, quantity, quality, etc. Therefore, goodness limits being. Therefore, not every being is good. I've never heard that before. Whatever you add to being limits it in some way, either through substance, quality, or quantity. Okay, and then we're going to go over to reply. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Reply objection 1. Substance, quantity, quality, and everything included in them limit being by applying it to some essence or nature. Now, in this sense, goodness does not add anything to being beyond the aspect of desirability and perfection. So, when goodness is added, you will get more desirability and perfection, which is also proper to being, whatever kind of nature it may be. Hence, goodness does not limit being. Aquinas attends it doesn't limit it. Objection 2. Further, no evil is good. Woe to you that call evil good and good evil. Isaiah v20. But some things are called evil. Therefore, not every being is good. Spicy, let's get into it. Reply objection 2. No being can be spoken of as evil formally as being, but only so far as it lacks being. Thus a man is said to be evil, because he lacks some virtue. An eye is said to be evil because it lacks the power to see well. No being can be spoken of as evil, only so far as it lacks being. So, lacking virtue lacks being. That would get me thinking about, he's implying that when you're being, evil hasn't been put upon you yet, because if evil adds to you, wouldn't it therefore follow that goodness adds to you? If you're being, it almost sounds as if you haven't had something applied to you yet, whether good or evil, you just are. I wonder. Because I do think that there's some people who are just pure evil, but they became that way. So they're like totally maniacal. Very interesting. Objection 3. Further, goodness implies desirability. Now, primary matter does not imply desirability. So primary matter does not imply desirability, but rather that which desires. Therefore, primary matter does not contain the formality of goodness. Therefore, not every being is good. Very logical the way they structure their sentences grammatically. It's really wonderful. Okay, so goodness implies desirability. I agree with that, right? Now, unless you desire evil, but evil isn't goodness, right? Now, primary matters does not imply desirability. So the key term, primary matter, but rather that which desires. Therefore, primary matter does not contain the formality of goodness. Therefore, not every being is good. So if you are a primary matter, you can't said yet to be good, and therefore cannot be said to be good right off the get-go. So if you're in a primary matter state, you can't be called good. So if you're in a primary matter state, wouldn't that then follow that you are not fully desirable yet? Because if you're only wanted when you're desirable, you have to be in a state of good. So if you're primary matter, you're not wanted yet. You're not desired yet. That's interesting. Reply objection 3. As primary matter has only good potential being, so it is only potentially good. Although, according to the Platonists, primary matter may be said to be a non-being on account of the privation attaching to it. So, a primary matter has only potential being. So it is only potentially good. So he has a difference here. The objectioner said, not every being is good because they're in primary matter. If you're in a state of primary matter, you don't have that desirability because your goodness isn't there yet. It hasn't been implied. Whereas with Aquinas, we see primary matter has the potentiality to be good. And therefore, we'll see. Although, according to the Platonists, primary matter may be said to be a non-being on account of the privation attaching to it. Nevertheless, it does participate in a certain extent in goodness, viz. By its relation to or aptitude for goodness. Consequently, to be desirable is not its property, but to desire. So notice this. Consequently, to be desirable is not its property, but to desire. So primary matter has only potential being, which means that it only has potential goodness. And it doesn't have desirability as its property yet, but it has the potential desire. Objection 4. Further, the philosopher notes, Mediphi I, that in mathematics goodness does not exist. Ooh. Wow. That's true. I mean, wow, that is true. I guess unless you say, ooh, well, yeah. Because I was about to say, oh, if there's more, it's good, but that's like with money. But if you say you have less number of illnesses, that's good, so that depends, doesn't it? But mathematics are entities. Otherwise, there would be no science of mathematics. Therefore, not every being is good. Ooh, so contends mathematics is our entities. And they're incapable of having goodness. So, That would therefore mean that not every being is good. Now that is a smart comment. Sassy. Let's see what Aquinas says back. Mathematical entities do not subsist as realities, because they would be in some sort of good if they subsisted, but they have only logical existence. Notice the thing here. Logical existence and mathematical entities do not subsist as realities, and if they did, they would have to have some sort of good if they subsisted. But they only have logical existence, inasmuch as they are abstracted from motion and matter. Thus they cannot have the aspect of an end, which itself has the aspect of moving another. Nor is it repugnant that there should be in some logical entity neither goodness nor form of goodness, since the idea of being is prior to the idea of goodness, as was said in the preceding article. So, the idea of being is prior to the idea of goodness. So, primary matter, we were getting at that, precedes the idea of goodness, but it only has potential being. So it only has the potential to be good. Consistent. His logic is consistent with what his past things he said. On the contrary, every being that is not God is God's creature. Now every creature of God is good. 1 Timothy IV 4. And God is the greatest good. Therefore every being is good. Ooh, spicy. Okay, so let's go through that again. Every being that is not God is God's creature. Yes, because they were created, right? To be created is to be a creature. Now every creature of God is good. Created in good proportions, created good according to their nature, maybe? And God is the greatest good. Therefore every being is good. And now I hope he gets on to later, what does good mean when it relates to this? Because we've gotten into the last article whether goodness is prior in the idea to being. Therefore every being is good. I answered that every being as being is good. For all being as being has actuality and is in some way perfect, since every act implies some sort of perfection. And perfection implies desirability and goodness. I agree with that. Perfection implies desirability and goodness. When someone exclaims, "Oh, perfect," you desire that. It's good. It's pleasing. As is clear from Article 1, hence it follows that every being as such is good. That's a bit of a stretch. I keep thinking of different ways to look at good. So a poisonous jellyfish, a great white shark, predators having a function in nature, people being able to sin but still having the soul where they had a free will to be good. Maybe it's reducing it down to when you're a baby, you're good, right? Then as you get older, you lose your goodness because some type of evil has come to you. Because he mentioned here something being super added to being. So evil can be super added to being. And when you do that, you limit that person, in terms of substance, quantity, and quality. So if you supersede evil onto being, they would go down in quality. If they go down in quality, that means they got less good, which would mean the starting point of them was originally better, which means they were closer to the good. They became less good as evil created limits around them and reduced their substance, quantity, and quality in many facets of their existence. So starting out as good, maybe, when you're just a little baby, right? Like a puppy, you don't know that it's gonna maul you when it gets older, right? You don't know that. And so you have to be wise, essentially. This almost makes it sound like, when you have this conversation, makes me think of redemption. Looking if someone's inherently evil brings up the ideas of nature versus nurture here. It's a very introspective text. I really do like Aquinas very much. I do. I mean, imagine how much I'll learn, inshallah, when I finish all these 5 volumes that are so thick. I mean, just the ideas you think about, and not even to mention just the English grammar, right? Learning language, whatever language you choose, and on a high level, it really helps you. Reading Aquinas and reading Shakespeare really elevate your vocabulary and help you to cut out, talking like Cardi B and all the nonsense. Fascinating. What do you think? What do you think? I don't know. I struggle with this because it comes with the question, like, a baby is innocent and pure, but maybe the evil nature, I feel a sneeze coming on, lies dormant. I don't know. And you get into destiny, free will. It's a very serious conversation. Very serious. Oh, by the way, I am fundraising for a bookshelf and a panel wall thing, and I don't want to use a credit card because interest and stuff like that. So if you're able to join the blog for $5, that would help to contribute towards that. There's also a tip function on there that would really help, and it'll be used in videos, so you'll actually see that it goes towards that. And if you only wanted to join the blog just for that, then you can just unsubscribe after a month, right? But I do post a lot of exclusive content on there, from grammar to art reviews to culinary terms, longer blog posts about just life in general, refutations, one of the largest anti-red pill refutations that I've seen. I don't think there's any Muslim woman who has written as much against red pill influencers as myself. I also have hadith on there, you name it, just quite a lot. And I'm not monetized, so it supports the channel. If you want to do that. Other people have the thanks button, join button, monetization, super chats. I don't have that, but I do enjoy Subscribe Store thus far. It's an alternative to Patreon, because Patreon is political and they ban people all the time for over political differences. But Subscribe Store, from my knowledge, has not fallen victim to that. That's why it's not an app, I think, because it's more of a website. Okay, fam, and also there's a lot of content creators that you probably follow on there, so check that out and see how you can use that app for your benefit. Take care, and I'll see you later.